up? What is up?
Well, hello. Welcome, everyone. We are here. And welcome to another episode of Red, Blue, and Black.
Black,
This is Black. This
black.
this is episode 2 with yours truly, El Teddy 27 official, and my wonderful, handsome co-host in the form of Kamz.
Hi.
How's your week been, sir? It's been a week. How's it been?
It's been a week. It's been a week. It's been a week.
Mm. Hey to everybody in the chat. Thank y'all so much for being here. I won't call you all out, but I'll just highlight your names. Y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know we love y'all, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And so we want to get to the get downs.
Let's get into
Okay,
the
get
fun.
downs to the get downs. Ciao. Anyway, how so you say you've had a great week, sir? Great week. Have you had a great week?
Last week was great because I was on PTO. This
Mm.
week, back to the grind. Back to the grind.
I mean, you do have to do what the people give you all that money for. All that money you got. You got to do some of the work. I mean, just
What
saying.
money? My student loans take all my little money. What do you mean? Can't get all this education for free in America.
Right.
Well,
Well,
some people can get it for free, just not
right. Depends on
not
your last name. Anyway, my week has been pretty good. More traveling, all of that good stuff. But I've been
Traveling
here.
must be nice.
Oh God.
I don't go anywhere to the end of September, unfortunately.
Really?
Must be nice to be a jet setter, always flying in first class,
That's you,
business
sir.
class,
We all
internationally.
follow, sir. We all follow your Instagram. We know that you fly Delta first class where they close the little curtain on the common folk and say, listen, you can't breathe the same air that we breathe, okay?
I book
Delta
an
be real
economy.
disrespectful, don't they?
I book an economy because my company
Mm.
makes me do that.
Listen, uh, I did, L said. When I tell you Delta, they be so disrespectful. Those flight attendants that be up there first class, they gonna smile at you while you going to go sit down. Soon as we get ready to take off, they take them little curtains. Shoo. Don't bring your ass up here.
But like, if you're in the front of the plane, you want me to walk all the way to the back of the plane? No, I'm going to use the bathroom in the front. Like, screw you.
But I can't use the bathroom in the front.
I've never been told that. And the only reason I fly Delta is because I'm hub captive. They control 80% of the flights here. So
I
guess I'm
mean,
flying Delta if I
I'm
want to
in.
nonstop.
You know where I'm at, and they might control 90% of the flights here.
That's the headquarters.
Right. So
It's not looking good.
they
But
got
I
a
mean,
chokehold.
I don't know. I just feel like it's just expensive to fly here. So I try not to do it that much unless I'm traveling for work because I don't pay
Delta
for
got
that.
a chokehold down here. Okay, a
Well,
whole
hopefully,
chokehold.
they're gonna realize that they can't nickel and dime us after they lost that 500 million from that crowd strike incident.
Mm.
But now they probably gonna nickel and dime. They're coming out with the business class where you don't get to choose your seat and you don't get a business class meal. Business class light.
No, because I do fly business class quite
Skim
often, and
milk.
I'm not here
Skim
for
milk
it.
business.
Even though the little meals that they give you in business class be nasty as hell, but still, I just be there for the drinks. I'm just saying, but that don't even make sense for me to get business class. Now, Southwest is supposed to get rid of their,
Assigned seats.
they supposed to have
I'm
assigned seats, and they're
excited.
supposed to have like a business class that's actually a real business class and not just you get to go early. Child.
I mean, look, when there's only so many options, you choose the least terrible one.
Oh
Thus, our
wow.
segue into politics.
That is our segue to the politics of this week. Dear God above. There's a good segue. Thank you, sir, for that great segue.
Absolutely.
In this week's episode, we will be tackling election fraud and possible non-certifications of pivotal electorates and
Let's get into it.
like that.
Let's get into
We'll
it.
also be talking about APAC and their impact on you know the Democratic Party and elections all over the country. We'll be looking certainly at the presidential race, the polling. We'll be looking at some Senate seats, and we'll be looking at some of the races that we have tonight because we have some primaries tonight. So that is what we'll be looking at today. You excited, sir?
We have a local primary. I'm actually really watching that one. So we got about 20 more minutes until the results start coming in. So get excited.
So, in commemoration of the fact that we're going to start with our main story, we're not going, bury the lead. We're going to start with our main story,
Let's get it.
which is a story that may cause me to spike out. So, because I might spike out, I need to I need our boy to come out and usher us into it. So, where's Larry? Where Larry? Larry, where's Larry? Larry, I'm about to spike out. Let's do this, Larry. Oh, God. You see, this is the part that I like. Major sugar spike. So long, well, I want to fight. That he gave his only begotten son. Major sugar spike. And major sugar spike. They shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
Taste the biscuit.
Jesus! I wish somebody help me.
Jesus. You know, I'm gonna have you infused into the sugar spikes some kind of way. I'm going to crop you in, and
I'm not going to give you any sound bites.
No, you're gonna have to give me a
It's
sound bite.
perfect.
You're going to give me a
It's
sound
perfect
bite.
the way that it is.
I'm saying just for the show.
It's
We need one
perfect the
just
way
for
that
the
it
show. Jesus.
We'll discuss this. We'll discuss this some more.
Yes, I need a sound bite. Just major
I
sugar
feel like the
spikes.
sugar spike is perfect.
But we need you in on the
Before,
sugar spike.
like, it was really perfect before they started hating and doing them copyright strikes.
You know, should I play the old one?
No,
or should I not? No, we're not gonna play the
let's
old
not
one. We want to keep we want to keep all of our monetization.
YouTube giveth, but YouTube taketh away.
It does take us away, so we're going to keep all our monetization. But the old one was classic.
Classic.
Shout out to the old sugar spike intro. Anyway, TJ said her dog barks anytime that she hears the intro. Shout out to TJ's dog. Okay. Anyway, y'all go ahead and hit the like button for us, please, while you're here. Give us a shout out, put a comment, put rate us, all of that good stuff. Share the video out. We have a lot of great content that a lot of people need to hear, not for our own selfish reasons, but there's a lot of great information here that people need to hear.
Altruism on my end, it's out of self-preservation.
Right.
We're Black in America. We already know what that entails.
Okay. Right, Harold. Take us out, Moose. I think I have that. Now that sound bite, I think I have. Where's I think I have that sound bite. Yeah, I think I do.
Take us out, Moose.
There it is. One more time.
Take us out, Moose.
You gotta have a good sound bite. Take us out, Moose. Oh, wait. Tracy asked for it. And so ask my love and you shall receive. Real Women of Politics.
America presents Real Women of Politics.
Real Women of Politics.
Today we salute all the real woman leaders of this great country.
Real women don't have to fake it.
Real women. Doing real things.
Real women work too hard for this.
Some big companies can't tell the difference between real and fake anymore.
Real people know the difference.
That's why we're introducing the Real Women of Politics koozie.
Real women of politics.
Now, you can salute the real women of politics at every backyard barbecue and tailgate. And if it covers up the label of a big woke company, well, that works too.
Real women of politics.
Order your Real Women of Politics koozie today.
Real Women of Politics. Yeah.
I'm triggered because I cannot stand Kay Ivey.
I can't stand her either. I can't stand Governor Quasimodo. Y'all's girl Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
I'm trying not to go in on Kay Ivey. I'm trying not to.
Listen. Governor Quasimodo is the one who does it for me. Harold, we do need a real girls do real things soundbite.
Governor Mima is what I call Kay Ivey. Governor Mima. Nana.
Child. Governor Scissor Me Timber.
With her hard-tongued ass.
Hard tongue. Lord. What's up, everybody? We are here. All right, let's get into this. Lord.
Keep me on task. Keep me on task. Focus.
So, let's talk about a report that came out, quite alarming report that came out for I'm sorry, that came out from the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. And they have a scathing report that came out yesterday identifying 35 what they called rogue election officials who are refusing to certify the November elections. A few of the states that they're concerned about are Arizona, Colorado, Georgia, Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, along with others. But those are the states that they are most concerned with. And it was a well detailed report. They listed, state by state analysis of what took place and what they are um expecting to happen, I should say, or prognosticating. And I found it to be quite alarming. They gave reports on former elections officials and some of their rationale and reasoning why they determined that they should not and did not certify elections. And some of them were as aloof as, saying, "Oh, I want to make a political statement," to others trying to attach some legal justification. So yeah, how did you feel reading this? Were you as alarmed as I was?
I wasn't alarmed because I'm from the South. I've seen the dirt that is involved in politics, but I think that when these people take up this oath, right? State laws make it very clear that certifying the election is non-discretionary. It's not supposed to be used as a platform for you to grandstand about your personal beliefs, um, because the certification process is not to say that there was no voter fraud or error. That's not what certification is. If you have concerns about electoral fraud, then there's other mechanisms within the electoral process to include recounts, audits, and evidentiary hearings before courts. So them not certifying it, it's just throwing a tantrum.
Hmm.
Do your job. And I also want to comment on, I don't know if you saw this, Tina Peters, former official of Mesa County in Colorado,
Hmm.
where she just let these random conspiracy theorists in and let them
Hmm.
tamper with the Dominion voting machine.
Yep.
She was found guilty out of 7 of 10 counts,
Hmm.
and her sentencing is October the 3rd. She faces up to 22 years. And you know who's not helping her out at all? Oh, Lord and Savior Trump.
You know what also concerns me more so than they're thinking there's going to be this rampant voter fraud on the left. My concern is on the right, because those people are galvanized. And I probably should have looked this up and sent to you, but you may have, because I know I talked about it on my channel. There was a situation in the district where I vote in Miami-Dade County where there was a poll worker that was a MAGA nut that in an election last fall threw hundreds of ballots away and put himself on social media, did a video on social media showing that he was doing this and saying that, hey, y'all need to sign up to be election poll workers so that we can make sure that this election goes our way. And if these people can be brazen enough to go and attempt to overthrow the government, the freaking Capitol building, why should it be, off for me to think that they could try to do what this guy literally did in a huge city like Miami
Well,
and was brazen about it?
what I still don't understand is I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. Like after January the 6th, I don't see how they weren't charged with sedition. It's
But you
like
see, wait a
we
minute, wait a
have
minute. You started off
apparatuses
by
in
saying you're
place.
from the South. You started off by saying that. And I just know that you being from the South can absolutely understand how these people were not charged with sedition.
I mean, well, they have the complexion for the protection.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm also not under the illusion of inclusion, so I'm aware that it would be different for me, but it would be sedition. Like, you should be charged with sedition.
Like my fear, my like I said, my biggest fear is a lot of the votes being tampered with on the
Mm,
in the large metropolitan areas, which tend to be more blue than the rural areas.
not tend to be, blue, which are blue.
Right.
It just is what it
And
is.
so that is where I am. That's my biggest concern. And I know we were saying earlier offline that I I wholeheartedly believe it will be probably well into the November 5th is the election. I could see it being November 12th, and there are states that are still either contesting or not certifying or claiming that they're still counting or trying to validate votes and think. I could see that happening. I could absolutely see that happening.
And I think that when you look at the list that the crew provided as well, some of them are in large population centers. So it
Mhm.
is a little bit concerning. When you have some of these states are battleground states, specifically Arizona is definitely in play.
Michigan was in there, Pennsylvania was in there,
Georgia is in
Georgia,
play yet again.
and they know the formula. If you take out those metropolitan areas, Republicans win overwhelmingly, not even in question.
Yeah.
So you'll have this big push to magically have problems only in the metropolitan centers where you have a lot of black voters, a lot of minority voters, and a lot of blue um votes out there.
Yeah, them refusing to certify the election, though, all that does is the people that actually participate in the electoral process, they get disenfranchised because a conspiracy theorist who happens to be in the job doesn't like the outcome.
Well, Florida in 2000, El Cid, with Bush versus Gore, that was a whole different situation, and it could be kind of similar. I mean, we could do a whole separate live on that
It was
situation.
bullshit.
That was a whole debacle, and that was my first presidential election that I voted in, and I remember my vote was affected because I was a college student. I wasn't voting in my home district because I was away at freaking college, and I was registered in the new. It was a whole mess. It was a whole mess. They were. I remember as college students, they were turning us away and telling us that if your ID didn't say you lived in Tallahassee, you couldn't come vote. It was a mess. And we knew the laws, we knew the rules, we were well informed, and we refused to let them you know.
Wasn't it the voting card, the punch card, the hanging
Yeah,
chad,
we had the punch cards. You had
the hanging chad,
they
and
gave you the little stick and you punched in.
and that was Bush versus Gore was a 5-4 decision, but I think the dissent made so much sense because the conservatives argued doing the full recount would cause irreparable harm to Bush. And John Paul Stevens was like, not counting every legally cast vote is the irreparable harm.
Right.
But it's like I always advise people, read Supreme Court decisions. Look at the logic in which they use to ultimately come up with their verdict. Because to me, it doesn't make sense, the logic that some people use. Because the harm is, it's supposed to be one person, one vote. but you're undermining that by not counting all the votes. Because if they would have done a full state recount, Gore would have actually won.
Yeah. Here are some areas that I'm concerned about. You're talking Las Vegas, Nevada, Reno, Nevada. You're talking Tucson, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, Mesa, Arizona. You're talking Erie, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You're talking Detroit, Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan, maybe even Kalamazoo and some of those centralized
Terrible
areas.
place to live. Terrible place to live.
You're talking, areas in Wisconsin, like Green Bay, Milwaukee. We're talking all of these
Madison.
metropolitan areas. You're talking in North Carolina, Durham, Charlotte, Raleigh, and some of those college centers where you have a lot of college votes like Greensboro and areas like Winston-Salem. Some of those areas. These are all areas in key swing states where there could be, if you include Georgia, that's Atlanta, the greater Atlanta area, Columbus, Savannah, Macon, those areas. These are all areas where if you live in these areas, there should be concern. And what has to happen is there has to be such an overwhelming voter turnout. And here's what they want to do. Here's here's how they play the games. Here's the games. Augusta too. Thank you, El Cid. Here are the games that they play. In the rural areas, predominantly red, predominantly white people descended from the Caucasus Mountains, they will have a dozen or so workers at those polling stations ready to usher you in to vote. And at these major metropolitan centers, they'll have 3 election workers there to work thousands of people because they want you to sit there and wait 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in the sweltering heat. And so that people get tired and frustrated and say, well, screw it, I'm not going to go vote.
Well, there's also the rash strings of threats, to election workers. I know we need. I mean, Minneapolis needs like 2,000 on the high end, 1,500 on the low end for election workers, and it's like, is it worthwhile? If
you see what happened to Miss Ruby and them,
making death threat, they're leaking people's addresses.
Right, they're doxing people, and you see what happened to Miss Ruby and her daughter down in Atlanta. Don't nobody want to go through that. They have a whole lot of laws about what people can do, how if they can assist people in line, like inhumane stuff, like, oh, you can't give people water. Like, this is inhumane.
It's, how do I phrase this? I think anti-intellectualism has won because people aren't using logic. They're not critically thinking. They're just going off feelings. And I'm not the type of person to say your feelings aren't always valid because honestly, fuck your feelings. That's just how I feel. What are the facts? What are the facts? Because everybody can have feelings. I mean, white tears are feelings that are used to oppress us. So I don't care about them at all. So I didn't want to say stupidity has won, but yeah. And I think social media has emboldened people when they find their echo chambers. They feel that their viewpoints are more prevalent than they actually are in reality. This is a fringe view, but you found other people that are just as insane as you are. So now you have your insane little cult of personality where you're thinking that there's this massive, concerted effort to steal the election.
And
And
the
it's
thing about
really,
it is the
your
internet
ideas
is
just aren't that popular.
the internet is filled with corners where you can have these echo chambers and never come out of them. So you are detached from reality in the rest of the world. Like, think about it. If you go on TikTok and type the wrong thing, you will be in an infinite loop of all videos that will speak to whatever that thing is. Or the same thing for the algorithm in YouTube. You put in the wrong thing, and now you're flooded with recommendations of videos aligning with that, commercials that align themselves to that, and now you have, been sucked into this vacuum, this cesspool of fuckery, and um you'll be caught up in the loop. You'll be caught up in the rapture.
And I think that to that point, though,
Hey, Sean.
when we're looking at the pipeline to radicalization, right? Because there is a very worrying trend amongst Gen Z men and women. They're diverging politically. Women are becoming more liberal post Roe v. Wade. And then you have these men who feel lonelier than ever now. And they're upset, they're mad, they feel disenfranchised. But it's just like, you're not owed companionship from a woman, right? But when you find these people that feel like society has been rigged against them, they're victims, like, it's very worrying to the point where the FBI is just like, you might want to be looking at what your teenage sons are looking into, because a lot of it turns to political violence because they finally found a community when they feel like society has rejected them.
And hello to everybody that's coming in out collectively, everybody coming into the chat. But I'm afraid for when these people leave these echo chambers and come into the outside world and enter the, the spaces with the rest of us, and don't know how to live in the real world, and only know how to exist within those sad, dark chambers. And now they act out because they never learned how to exist outside of their head almost, and the internet. Anyway, I think that I'm concerned. Like I said, I think that we'll be well past the weekend after the election day before we get some real certifications with especially these battleground states. And hopefully we can put some other states in play, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But let's shift over to said presidential elections, and there's a lot of new polling, sir.
Let's talk about it.
Polls.
Let's get into it.
A lot of polls. Miss Harris, Madam Vice President, has been quietly surging in some of the polls in all of the battleground states. She is either it's either even, or she's ahead in recent polling, and she is surprisingly polling well in other places that they did not think that they would be polling well in, specifically Florida, and we'll talk about Florida too. But how do you feel about these new polls?
I think that the people that were saying Sleepy Joe need to step down, they feel vindicated. But I will also say, who's the person? I didn't mind him stepping down. Who's the person?
I was the person that said he needed to step down. That was me. I was screaming that.
I mean, you've been saying that though, but
yeah,
I think that all of the gains, so really what happened is when Biden stepped down and Harris was announced as the presumptive nominee, the lead that Trump had was erased. And when you look at the missteps that he continues to make, he was prepared to run against Joe Biden. He's not prepared to run against someone who's much younger than he is, is in full control of their cognitive functions. I do think that maybe Joe had some things going on up there. The lights are on. I don't know if anyone was home, but he ran on Biden being old. Oh, he's old. He doesn't know what's going on. It's like, now you're the old guy. Now you're the angry old man yelling at the clouds. That's you now.
He is the man is unraveling, and I'm gonna tell you why he's unraveling. He, even going back to the 2016 election, he's always been able to capture the news cycle. He's always been the center of attention. Stupid ass mainstream media gifted him that election because they gave him the entirety of the news cycle. They gave him full-throated free campaigning with all of his buffoonery. They wanted to see the circus and the sideshow, and they gave it prime time viewership. So he controlled the entirety of the news cycle.
The outcome of the election,
right? And then they were surprised.
You rewarded his bad behavior, and you're shocked that some people are into his bad behavior.
And let's be clear, Hillary did not help them because she was kind of unlikable. At time, I voted for Hillary. I loved Hillary.
Exceptionally unlikable.
But Hillary was unlikable.
But I mean, even within the party, she wasn't well liked. But she also comes across as more of, to me, a policy wonk, where you're really great at governing, but you're really bad at communicating what your positions are and getting people motivated to go vote for you.
She wasn't personable. She wasn't gregarious enough.
She gets very cold.
Whereas Kamala came out and she did present, I think Kamala by herself galvanized the electorate enough, and they were excited. And then what you have now, when you add a truly gregarious person in the form of Tim Walz, who can sit there and talk to you for hours and hours and really captivate you and can really speak to a lot of the demographics that may not align itself to Kamala, now you run into a bit of a problem. JD Vance ain't gonna help you in Ohio.
His favorability has gotten worse.
Right. He ain't gonna help.
It was possible. How was it worse?
Because they didn't vet him well enough, and they didn't see his douchebaggery. Well, I take that back. They probably saw his douchebaggery, but then thought that since they were running against Joe Biden, that they didn't have a problem. Because remember, they were saying, oh, well, not only are the swing states going to be in play, we'll make New Mexico in play and Maryland in play. And they were calling all of these blue states that they were now going to flip for, like they were saying New Hampshire was going to be in play for them. And a whole lot of
the last midterm where they were talking about this red wave that never materialized.
Exactly.
Remember when we were talking about echo chambers earlier, and then reality happens, your ideas just aren't that popular.
But you're talking about a whole demographic of people who believe what this man says, and this man has never told the truth in his life. The man has never completed an assignment ever. It's always come crashing down, everything about him. But they bought into it.
Everything the man touches, he has the opposite of the Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to fecal matter. Like, why are we surprised?
I'm not going.
He said he was going to run America as a business, but he's declared bankruptcy how many times?
I'm not going to read this comment from Tracy. I'm just not. Nope. 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 Nope.
Well, you know, I'm not one to kink shame El Teddy, so I'm not going to pass judgment on Mr. Vance.
Sean Kinsey, if you are still in the building, please let me know. If you're still here, Sean, let me know. Because we do need to talk about Florida, and Sean is heavily connected in Florida. I want to
First
see
it's
if
Florida, but anyway,
it's
continue.
Florida.
Uh, what would you know?
Not,
You're not from there. You're not from there, so why do you care? You're
I'm
from Miami.
adjacent too.
Look, you're from Miami.
I'm adjacent too. Don't worry about where I'm at.
Far be it from me to question you. The
Right.
sole arbiter of political knowledge, El Teddy 27 official.
Anyway, the reason that we were talking about Florida was because of polls and polling. In Florida, polls are saying that she's within the margin of error now. And Florida has not been seen this election cycle as a battleground state. They don't believe it's competitive. They did not believe it was competitive during the 2022 midterms and spent no money there and lost, just got dog walked in Florida. Since Kamala Harris Donald Trump was down, I think close to 10 points. When Donald Trump was up, I'm sorry, almost 10 points when by some polls when Biden was still in the election, and now he's only up 5 points, which they say is within the margin of error. There's a lot going on in Florida that makes Florida, and why is Florida so important? Florida has more electoral college votes than Pennsylvania. It absolutely does. And if Florida is a state that is winnable and you can get those votes, that can go a long way. What I'm hoping is that they can see this poll and maybe say, hey, can we possibly steal Florida? Because I think it's winnable. Here's the path of winning in Florida. There are a couple things at play. One, DeSantis told y'all that there are more people moving into Florida than anywhere else in the country. You told us that, DeSantis. However, the numbers say that. But what that means is all of those people aren't Republican voters. It's not like, oh, only Republicans are moving here, no Dems are moving here. That's just not how this is going. Although they say they'll throw out the numbers. There are 1 million more Republican voters in Florida than there are Democrat registered voters in Florida. While that may be true, if you look at the percentage of Democrats voting versus the percentage of Republicans voting, the numbers end up evening out and make it, a state that's winnable for the left. Two big things: the Senate race where Mercosur Powell, I can never pronounce her last name. She is down to Trick Scott. Debbie Mercosur Powell is down to Trick Scott by only 2 percentage points. 2.
The same Scott that defrauded Medicare and other federal programs in the 90s. That same Scott,
to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars.
HCM Scott, that guy.
Yeah, that guy
Okay.
who was a 2-term governor, 2-term.
Yeah,
and 2-term. That one.
Yeah, the one that looks like a shaved ball sack. Correct.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
With the bulging eyes.
Yeah.
He looks like Beaker from Muppet Babies.
That's an insult to Beaker because I actually like Beaker.
I like Beaker too, but he does look like Beaker.
But I do want to add to the point that you were making about the gains that Harris has made. A lot of that.
No, but one more thing, and I'll let you go. Freaking abortion is on the ballot in Florida. And I tell anybody, if abortion is on the ballot, the Dems can't afford to lose out on what could be what could be an easy win? Abortion is one everywhere it's gone, even in the red states. So with all of those things and abortion being on the ballot, they owe it to themselves to put some money into Florida.
So to that point, I wanted to add this because Lil Baby made an excellent point earlier. I don't think a lot of people realize this. In the last election, Trump handily won Florida, but he lost independence by 11%. So, although there are more registered Republican voters, there are more and more people that are disenfranchised with him, and a lot of them in Florida are never Trumpers. They're never Trumpers. They had that one presidency under him. They were like, there's too much chaos. This is not what we wanted. We'd rather a functioning government.
Here's how you know Florida is up for grabs. If they are having Kamala Harris rallies in the villages, and they had one with all of their golf carts, when you're having Kamala Harris, rallies and stuff in the villages, Florida's up for grabs, because the villages is heavily red.
And I think to the abortion point that you made as well, there's 8 states where abortion is going to be on the ballot during this election cycle. We've already mentioned Florida. Another important one to note, Arizona. That is a battleground state. Nevada, battleground state. Even in some red states, it is quite surprising. Like South Dakota has it, Missouri has it. They've submitted the signatures in Montana, but we don't know what's going on with that quite yet. Nebraska, I think they have the signature submitted, and I want to say is it Arkansas? I think they're appealing the Secretary of State's disqualification to keep it off the ballot, because people know, like, when it's on the ballot, people will vote to enshrine abortion regardless of their political leanings. And women are actually coming across the line to vote to uphold abortion.
Chimera, the problem with Florida, as someone who is heavily involved with elections in Florida, hell, I was a delegate in a previous DNC out of Florida. The problem is, if you're not willing to spend the money in Florida, it will not flip for you. And when the Dems just ceremoniously give up, Debbie McCarcel-Powell has garnered the faith in Floridians because she got it from the soil. She went and did grassroots. The reason that there's abortion on the ballot is because grassroots efforts went and did that shit. And the problem is, the big money people in the Dems are, for some reason, I just have chopped Florida up to the wrong side. And I just hope that they see that it's winnable before it's too late, because it would be great if you not only could get Florida flipped on the presidential election, but if you can get McCarcel-Powell in that Senate seat, that's a seat that could make up for Joe Manchin or possibly John Tester.
Yeah.
And this Florida talk is a great segue into the importance of the Senate. As much as we may be talking about Harris Waltz, if they lose the Senate, it's going to be for nothing. I promise you that. If they lose the Senate, and I have it, and we may need to do a show on who's the possible Republican Senate leader, be it majority or minority leader, once Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle steps aside from that position after when the next Congress is seated. But if there any way a political juggernaut like Mitchell has been, nothing's going to happen. You can have the White House all you want. You may not even get the confirmations of important people like the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of State. Let's be clear. We could literally be having that issue if we don't find a way to keep the Senate. So I think they owe it to themselves, just on the strength of the amount of electoral college votes that you get in Florida, as well as the possibility of flipping that Senate seat, because um Trick Scott is losing in terms of his likability, and Debbie McCarcel Powell is only down by 2 percentage points, and you got abortion on the ballot.
Yeah, I mean, Florida has the second most electoral votes, so they have been gaining population to other large urban centers' losses. So, I mean, 30.
I know their top three. I think it's Florida, Texas, California. I think it's 1, 2, 3.
Well, no,
I don't know the
Florida's
order.
Florida's 3 because California is 54, Texas is 40, and Florida is 30. Yeah, and then New York is 28 because New York has some population.
Oh yeah, and marijuana, recreational marijuana is on the ballot. I forgot about that. Thank you, little baby. Recreational, you have a lot of stuff on the ballot that can galvanize the blue electorate in Florida. And one of the other strategies that I talked about with Kamz earlier was, I don't know that Harris and Walz need to go into Florida themselves, but I think that they need to spend a lot of money in Florida, because I think there's enough people in Florida to galvanize the Florida votes. I don't want the numbers I was talking about earlier with the Republican side. Yes, they have more registered voters, but a lot of them are in rural areas that frankly don't go out to vote because they feel they don't have to, because they say, oh, it's Florida, they're going to go red anyway, so it's no need for me to go out there and vote because I already know how this is going to go. But if you can keep the eyes off of Florida by not having Kamala and Tim Walz come, but pour the money into Florida with those grassroots efforts and with native Floridians to go into some of those areas, pay Andrew Gillum and all of those people to go into some of these areas and get the vote out. It's winnable. We can flip also to Texas. I know you were talking about Texas, Kamz, and Mr. Allred out there who was not looking to
let's talk about it. I think that the approach that his campaign is taking is not wise, versus going for people that are in the middle. He's trying to court the Republicans to cross over. It's not a winning strategy. Like, it's not. And Cruz is deeply unlikable. Even people in the Senate do not like Ted Cruz. And that is saying something. He's deeply unlikable. If O'Rourke wouldn't have said, we're going to take your guns, we would have a Democratic senator from Texas. You just have to know what is the state. Guns are really big there. Don't say you're going to take people's guns. Just don't say that. Just can't.
Not in Texas. Not in Texas.
Ted Cruz is trash.
He is.
And I will always call him Cancun Cruz.
I mean,
Mr. Aldridge, he doesn't want Harris or Walz to come down. He wants to be
Harris
totally separated from them. And it's just like they're getting this energy moving, especially when you look at where Harris is polling with the youth. She's overperforming. And a lot of people are going to come out because abortion is once again on ballots in a lot of these states that are going to end up being either battleground or fairly close states. They're going to come out.
I just feel like Colin Allred, who's down close to 10 points at this point, you don't have anything to lose. Ride the freaking wave. If I'm going out, let me go out in a blaze of glory. It won't be because I didn't go out here and try to make it happen. I know Beto is going out there with him, but Beto alone is not going to help you. And if there's anybody you may want to detach from, it may be him. I'm just going to be honest with you. And if You can get Tim Wall. If Tim Walls helps you better in Texas, get him to come out there and say, listen, I need you to come out here and help me. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to maybe Kamala going, you maybe you feel like, okay, when I go in Central Texas, I'm gonna have Tim Walls, but when I'm down here in Houston or San Antonio or Dallas, then I'll have Kamala with me. But you need to do something if you want to have Kamala go on the HBCU tour down there in Texas to galvanize all of those HBCUs in Texas to come out and vote. Whatever you need to do, but you don't have nothing to lose.
No, I think a lot of it is engagement and outreach. And to the point that we were making earlier, you have to spend the money. You have to get the boots on ground. You have to have people with the grassroots. But you
And
also
don't tell
need
me
to
you
have
ain't got the
people that are
money.
charismatic.
Don't tell me y'all ain't got the money, DNC, because y'all have touted your records that you've made in terms of fundraising. You got the money. It's time to use it. It's time to spend it. Let's see where your money is going. And don't tell me that you're only going to put real money into those 6 or 7 battleground states. That's not a good strategy. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's just not. It's just not smart thinking to me.
I mean, I don't know. I look at what the DNC is doing, and I feel like a lot of these elections could be, we could get some small victories, but we don't have a long-term investment strategy. And I don't think that giving up and capitulating is going to give you any more electoral advantage. Rolling over and dying is not an option. And I feel like that's what they've done on states that were in play at one point. Because Florida, like,
Florida was
Florida
always
used to be the battleground state.
right.
Everybody was going to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was talking about Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It mattered. And now it's just like, I don't know what the state Democratic Party is doing. Maybe you would have more insight as to what's going on there. But
The state Democratic Party to their they're doing much better now in 2024 in terms of trying to get people out to vote than they did in the midterm election. Because I think the 2022 elections taught them that the DNC isn't going to give them any money. The DNC has proven, don't look for us to help you and bail you out, Florida Dems. You on your goddamn own. And when they saw how, and they're basing it off of Governor Death Sentence beating Charlie Crist, who was never really a Democrat. Remember, when he was governor, he was a Republican governor, and then
yes,
he switches anyway the wind blows because he knew he was unpopular, and now he's basically a Democrat. I guess he was a horrible
nah,
um candidate, and then you couple that with the gerrymandering that Governor Death Sentence did to the map. That's how Governor Death Sentence got that big of a lead. However, the Florida Dems have learned. They have a lot of grassroots efforts in some of the metropolitan areas. The big wigs still ain't doing the goddamn things, but there are a lot of grassroots people that are out there. That's how recreational marijuana got on the ballot. That's people won't admit it, but that's how abortion got on the ballot. And frankly, Debbie McCarcel Powell comes from grassroots organizations, and so that's how she's been able to basically make it even with Trick Scott. So they are trying to do things on the state level, but the DNC is not doing anything. They're not putting any money into Florida.
I think ever since Howard Dean was no longer running the DNC, like I thought he was good because he actually had like, hey, we need to invest in every state.
I don't know what Jamie Harrison is doing. I did not like them putting Jamie Harrison in there as the chair of the DNC, but we'll see. We'll see how that pays off. But I really think that it
I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't a fan of him, um, just due to the fact that he is from South Carolina.
What's wrong with people from South Carolina?
The reason why we got Joe Biden, right, is because of South Carolina.
What? No, that was not Jamie Harrison. That was Clyburn.
It was Jim Clyburn. However,
Clyburn is the reason for that. That pissed me off. Now that's the motherfucker you need to be mad with. And I could have a whole rant. You talk about sugar spike moments. Jim Clyburn gives me sugar spike moments. I can't say it there. We get on my damn nerves.
I just feel like
Damn
we
Jim
should not
Clyburn.
have chosen anyone from the South Carolina Democratic Party. Just me personally.
And Greg, I'm not going to be that harsh to Jamie Harrison.
I am.
He came close. He came closer than I thought he would. In that election in South Carolina, but he still lost. But my contention was, you still lost. You know what I'm saying? You still lost to Lady G. He lost to Lady G, and that was not long after Lady G, you know, was outed for snorting lines of coke allegedly off of the erect penises of male escorts. I'm just saying.
44.2, not terrible.
Right. He didn't do bad.
Not terrible.
For South Carolina against Lady G.
It's fine if you like Harrison. I just don't. Look, I'm gonna just be honest. A Southern Dem. They're Republican lights. You need to get somebody from either the Northeast or the Midwest. Sorry.
Well, then there's that.
I'm just saying. What are you with a yellow dog Democrat?
In other Senate races.
Answer the question.
What? I said Jamie Harrison should not have gotten that job. You're going to get no arguments from me. You're going to get no arguments from me.
All right.
I have no problem with that. I said that from the beginning. He shouldn't have got that job.
All right.
I'm on record. Other Senate races we have to look at. I feel like Sherrod Brown. He's gonna be Sherrod Brown. You're not Sherrod Brown. You're not. Your name is Sherrod.
Sherrod.
That's Sherrod to me. That's just like Terrell Owens says. I'm Terrell Owens. You Terrell Owens.
Oh, you mean? Okay.
Sherrod Brown, I feel can win that. I feel like he can win that. Let me tell you this races I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about the Pennsylvania Senate race. I'm not worried about the Michigan Senate race, and I'm not worried about Tammy Duckworth. Of the three, Tammy Duckworth is probably I'm calling her Duckworth. Tammy Baldwin. Dear God, who do I know named Tammy Duckworth? I know a Tammy Duckworth, but Tammy Baldwin, right?
Tammy Duckworth is the senator from Illinois that the double amputee.
Okay,
that's Tammy Duckworth. Tammy Baldwin though is
Tammy Baldwin is the one in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Of the three that I just named, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin is her race probably is going to be the closest, and I still think she'll win that. My concern, and like everyone, is Ohio and Montana. I think Sherrod Brown will eke that out. I think he knows how to win in I almost said Atlanta, in Ohio, but John Tester over there in Montana is in the fight for his life. He's in the fight for his life over there, in Montana. Some polling has it about even. Some polling has the Republican. What's the guy's name? I can't think of it right now. Who's the guy?
Tim Sheehy.
Yeah. Sheehy. So I don't know how that race is going to go. I think that's going to be a race that they're going to have to spend money on because they can't afford to lose that. We know Joe Manchin's seat is gone. We know that.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Yeah. But which is why if that race between Trick Scott and Debbie McCarcel Powell is only 2 points, it only has a 2 point difference, you owe it to yourselves to see if you can get that seat. Even if you don't win Florida for the presidential election, if you can get that Senate seat, you need to get that Senate seat because you're not going to be able to do anything if you lose the Senate.
The
And
best
that's
you can hope for is 50. And then the tiebreaker being the VP.
right.
That's the best we
Right.
can hope for. But
That's
then
the
you
best.
can't lose anyone in the caucus.
That's the best you can go for is giving up. Well, if you can somehow, if you can flip Florida and somehow keep both Ohio and Montana, then you keep your 51.
I don't see a path where we keep Montana.
I'm not going to.
Ohio, I mean,
If they
he
can
has
get
enough
if they
political
can get
stature.
abortion on the if they can get abortion on the ballot in Montana, it's possible.
I will agree with that.
Get abortion on the ballot.
We don't know if it's on there yet. They have the signatures, but
Send walls out there. Kamala, don't even go to Montana. Don't even go in the same stratosphere as Montana. Don't even go in a 2-state area as Montana. Just don't go, Kamala. I'm just being honest. You send walls out there with John Tester. Let him go. Get on the farm. Talk to the people. Do the little draw that they do down there to the farms. You know, go to the rodeos or whatever they do down there. I don't know. Churn butter. You know, whatever y'all do. Square dance. I don't know. I'm not from the farm. I'm from the city. I'm from places where I don't want to know what the stars look like. When I look up, I need to see street lights and not the goddamn stars. That's where I'm from.
did you say churn butter?
I don't know what they're doing out there in Montana. I don't know. Milk
Is
cows,
this
churn butter.
Montana or is this Little House on the Prairie? Like,
I
what are
feel
we
like they
talking
have a
about
lot of
here?
cows in Montana. So if they have a lot of cows, they're not churning butter. I mean, Rose Nyland did win Butter Queen. Oh, but that was in Minnesota.
That was in St. Olaf. But
That
I mean,
was in
honestly,
Minnesota. St. Olaf is a
Wisconsin,
real place in Minnesota, mind you.
Wisconsin is like the dairy people, though. They make a lot of cheese
But
there.
I feel like they have cow. Go look it up. They have cows in Montana.
Montana is they export beef and veal, but I think the big one is like wheat.
Okay, well, go out there and glean some of the wheat.
This
Go
man
out there,
said churn
get some
butter.
gleaning in.
Like we don't have the agribusiness is automatically doing that with some machines. You act like people is really just
Old school style.
going to the town square.
Yeah,
Hear ye.
they
No.
may have little festivals and shit where they do that just for they might have little butter churning contests and shit. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm from Miami. I don't know.
you from Florida. But anyway,
I'm from Miami.
what state is
Miami
Miami
Dade.
within? That's the county.
Miami-Dade.
That's the county.
That
What
is
is
the state of Miami-Dade.
No, the state.
Like I was saying,
Miami,
I thought
comma, what?
Amish. Wait a minute. I thought Amish country was like rural areas of Pennsylvania. Like I feel like that's Amish country, right? Am I wrong? Or areas in Wisconsin or Minnesota? I don't know. I'm from Miami. I don't know. But you sent Tim Walsh over there to Montana with John Tester. They damn near look alike.
I mean, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Iowa, Illinois, Kansas, where most of them were. There are some Amish in Wisconsin, Maine, Missouri, and Minnesota.
And rural areas of Pennsylvania.
I said Pennsylvania first.
Oh, okay, because that's what I feel like.
Like Pennsylvania Dutch, like that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are also some in Michigan because there was a dog breeder that was Amish. And I know somebody that went to go pick up a dog. And they got the dog for like, oh, this is how much it costs us to raise it. This is what we're going to charge you. And then they were like, they had to call the neighbor. The neighbor had to go get them because they didn't have a phone. Yeah, that was in Michigan. That was in Michigan.
I believe it. I believe it.
Look, somebody gonna have to explain it. What is the difference between Miami and Florida? It's all the same thing to me.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't. And when you go down there, you'll find out.
I've been to Miami.
No. You can't go to the touristy areas. You got to go to Miami proper. You can't be on South Beach and stuff like that. Talk about I've been to Miami. You have not been to Miami.
I was on South Beach.
Where were you, sir?
In the hood.
What hood? Where in the hood? Please tell me.
You don't need to know all that because then you can be like, oh, I know that area. You know, I might have been down there with Trey. But anyway, we don't have to get
down there with Trey.
I was down there with Trey, yeah. This was younger me. When I was
down there with the city punks.
He couldn't read, so it was a no for me. But anyway.
They ain't trying to read. Read, child. I'm from Liberty City, okay? I'm from the city. The city.
We're in the city.
68 Terrace and 15th.
Okay.
If you need me. What? Don't do me, as I'll be forced to do you harder. Anyway.
Not verse over here, but let's continue.
I ain't even went down that road. I ain't even go down that road.
And you're not going in the hole either. But back to the topic.
How did we get here? God of mercy, God of love. Anyway, our major point being we need to keep the Senate. We need the Senate. We got to keep the Senate. And as much as people are only paying attention to the presidential race, all of these things that they're going to promise you cannot be accomplished without Congress.
I would agree. And I would say back in the 90s, you could have gotten things done with divided government, but how polarized politics has become, it's about not letting the other side get a win at all. So if we don't have the necessary votes, it's over. Like, I mean, you're going to be stymied in the actual agenda that you can get accomplished unless you do some less than savory things.
And we see the Dems don't have the proclivities to do less than savory things. They try to be all pious and self-righteous and all of that stuff, I guess.
When they go low, we go high. No, when they go low, I go lower.
Because if I go high when they go low, I get kicked in the balls or hitting the balls or something. No.
I'm
protect the nutsack. Protect the nutsack.
Put on this earth to be the bigger person. I'm short. No.
You're not that short, sir.
Well, not in the places where it counts. But the average male height is like 5'9". I'm below the average male height in the U.S.
By like 1 inch. I've stood next to you. We're like the same height, and I'm 5'9".
Yeah, but you're average height. I'm below average height.
Okay, so what, 5'8.5"?
No, I'm not 5'8". I'm 5'8".
You are not 5'7".
I know that.
You're 5'8", 5'8.5".
I'm 5'8".
Ladies and gentlemen, I've stood right next to this young man, and he's the same height as I am, and I'm 5'9".
Anyway, I'm just like, I feel like when we constantly castigate ourselves, the National Democratic Party, when I feel like they really set themselves on fire to keep other people warm. And that does not a great party make to me. You have to be willing to get in the mud and be a little dirty. I'm with it. I'm very much with it.
You know, I'm with all of this shit. So
I'm all for hiring private investigators, getting some dirt, exposing some scandals. October surprise indeed.
You can't play nice with people who don't play nicely. In terms of congressional races and some races we have tonight, we have We have some primaries tonight in what states have primaries tonight? I know Wisconsin and Minnesota, but I had the list.
Minnesota.
Let me remember. Okay, so the states with primaries tonight are Connecticut, Minnesota, Vermont, and Wisconsin. Yep. Connecticut, Minnesota, Vermont, and Wisconsin. Minnesota and Wisconsin are the two states that we probably need to look most at. We know people are talking about Ilhan Omar's race. She'll win that quite handily. The guy she's running against doesn't have a chance. He's a black man, black guy who she's running against in Minnesota. He doesn't have an ice cube chance in hell of beating Ilhan Omar. She's raising more money than him. And I
He's
think,
also deeply unpopular.
huh?
He's also deeply unpopular.
Can you tell us more about him, or do we care? We don't care.
We don't care.
Okay.
I mean, he needs to be on the city council, the Minneapolis City Council. Yeah, he came close last time, but we'll see this time.
But we only bring the fact that there are primaries up because there whenever you have primaries in your respective states, I think that a lot of opportunities are missed, especially for people who, like myself, espouse themselves to be progressives. And if you are in what they call the big tent, that is the Democratic side, you really have to utilize the primaries to let your voice be heard. Because what ends up happening is if you don't galvanize around someone who leans more to the side that you want them to lean in the primaries, then your hand is kind of forced when you get to the general in a lot of cases. And as a progressive, I try to talk to a lot of my progressive friends and tell them to make sure that they are very active in the primaries, because that's the only way progressives have a real shot at
Snowball's chance in hell.
right. And then we've seen across the country, even when progressives do win the primaries, raggedy ass Democrat elites and the establishment fucktards in the Democratic Party see fit to pour money either into the Republican candidates or do stupid shit like have write-in candidates or some other dumb shit. I'm sorry, I had a moment. Sorry.
I mean, name their names. Like, who are you talking about?
Do you remember how we chronicled for months our good girl India Walton? Remember that?
I do
Up there, up in Buffalo.
I do recall.
We talked about what they did to Jessica Cisneros down there in Texas. We see what they let ceremoniously happen to Jamal Bowman and Corey Bush. They just let that happen. They say, yeah, go ahead, whatever y'all want. It's not our problem. Oh
yeah, they also they got Nina Turner too. They got her too.
Who? Oh yeah, they got Nina Turner. Oh yeah, they got Nina Turner bad. Oh, that was very unfortunate. I really didn't like what they did to Nina Turner. They thought they were going to be able to do that to Summer Lee, and Summer Lee wasn't here for it. She was here for all of this smoke. She was like, "Oh, you think you finna get me?" And they did that in the Senate race over there in California. That's how Adam Schiff got in there.
Can we not bring him up?
Yeah.
I don't like him.
I don't either, but
he gives off disingenuous.
I think one of the issues was
And that neck, ugh.
you had two progressives that were running in that Senate seat.
Mitch McConnell neck.
You had Barbara Lee and Katie Porter that were running, and even though Porter got more votes than Barbara Lee, I think they kind of, you know,
they cannibalized themselves.
They canceled each other out.
Yeah, they cannibalized themselves.
So, our last thing that we had to talk about was
Nick. I don't like Adam Schiff. But anyway, continue.
About, you know, the fact that we talked about last week Cori Bush and what happened to her with AIPAC, and we won't talk about Cori Bush specifically, but we can talk about AIPAC and their influence on the Democratic Party, and the fact that most of the establishment Dems carry the water for AIPAC, and how AIPAC's ideologies don't align with the young electorate, and the young vote, the 29 and unders, are the largest voting base in the country right now. And so with AIPAC not aligning with them, there's going to be a watershed moment for the Democratic Party and that entity, because you cannot tell me that AIPAC is not a foreign. It's basically a foreign country or a foreign entity involving themselves or interfering in our elections. Point blank, pure and simple. Because what's the difference in Russia backing some PAC or super PAC and having them pour money into deciding elections here?
But they're our enemy.
That's what they would tell you. Gander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It still can happen.
I think that this is how insidious the lobbying power is. It's very subtle, right? But the last time I checked the numbers, I believe 365 out of the 435 people in the House of Representatives were funded by AIPAC. And that's just not a Democrat thing. It's a
we know what the other side is going to do. We know what they're going to do.
I mean, well, you also have to look at a lot of these evangelicals that are in government. A lot of them are Zionists. They believe that helping Israel out is going to usher in the second coming of Jesus in the rapture. They're just going to get sucked on up to heaven.
Mara says Steny Hoyer had a stroke today. Steny Hoyer is older than God. The man he got to be in his late 80s. Steny Hoyer out of Maryland, right? I think Steny Hoyer's out of Maryland. He's like older. The man is at least 87 years old.
Yeah.
How old is Steny Hoyer?
Oh.
The man been around since God was a child.
He's 85.
Exactly. Why are you still in Congress? Lord. The man is 85. And I love her to death, why is Maxine Waters still in Congress? Like, why? Like, you're hurt. And for all of the great things that you may have done, you're crippling the party by not allowing the next generation to move up in the world. I'm going to tell you what it did. I'm going to tell you exactly what some of these fuckers are doing. What ends up happening is there's not a natural progression of the party, because the boomers, their generation, pretty much stayed in Congress or are still in Congress right now and stayed in way too long, where they're going to age out a lot of Gen Xers. And then what you're going to end up with after these people die, you're going to end up with older millennials or just millennials pure and through, that may not yet be ready to make that next step and may have not had the natural progression of being, you know, experienced or trained or groomed to go up there. And now you end up losing on the back end. Like I just don't understand. And some of these people have been great for this country, but staying in office until you're in your 80s is you're not helping. At 75, let it go. Baby, it's forced retirement at 75. I'm sorry.
I also agree with that for federal judges.
I'm sorry. At 75, across government jobs. Listen, if you happen to be president, baby, listen, you can age out while you're in that in your tenure, but you can't run for re-election.
Why do we have minimums but not maximums?
Hello, make that shit make sense.
Because I'm not understanding. Like, literally, Maxine Waters has been in office since I was 2.
Like the lady,
that's insane.
Most of my life, she's been in office most of my life.
I was a child when she first got elected, and she's still there. But at what point do you pass on the baton? And this isn't just a Democrat thing. I don't want to bash on the Democrats, because I think the Republicans have the same shit. What are you going?
But the thing about it is, it goes. The reason that I was bringing up Gen, the baby boomer Gen, and them holding the water for, because they do hold the water for AIPAC, and AIPAC don't mind funding the campaigns of these old ass people, because they know they ain't gonna do nothing but fall in line, because that's the politics of. That's what you had to do in the 80s and 90s and maybe even the early 2000s when you were trying to win elections. You had to align yourself with Israel. But the voting electorate and basis changed and moved on that, whereas AIPAC has not. And they're not willing to fund some of the younger people. They're not willing to do that unless they, you know, have blind fealty to them. Look, and that's the problem.
If you can receive Social Security, I'm gonna need you to stop running. I just need that to happen. I just need you to stop running. Just let it go.
I mean, you can collect Social Security at 62. So I'm not gonna make it that early.
No, I said what the fuck I said.
I'm not gonna make it 62.
Again, I said what I said.
I don't care what you said.
I don't care if you don't care.
Give them to, I'm gonna say 75 is your max. That's the max.
75.
I want to say 70. I really want to say 70, but I might.
If you're in need of a knee and a hip replacement simultaneously, I don't think you need to be the leader of the free world. I'm sorry.
Oh, dear God. Help us, Lord.
If after you went to a rally, they got to rub you down with Ben Gay, I don't think that this is the direction we need to be moving in.
I mean, I want to get rubbed down, just not with Ben Gay after certain rallies. But I mean, can you rub me down, sir? Sir,
you can get some icy hot if you don't want Ben Gay.
Sir, can you rub me down?
With some icy hot, sure.
No, I want no icy hot. That stuff burns. Yeah,
absolutely.
That stuff burns. It burns. So,
El Teddy's 68, so he's a little sensitive about 70. All right. I think 65 should be the cutoff, though. I think 65 is
65.
Yeah, just go home.
Listen,
go home.
When I turn 70, I'm not gonna try to be on nobody's job. I want to be sitting my ass down at Shady Pines, you know, trying to get one in, because all of the old people like to do is have sex. They take their Viagra, Cialis, and they go have sex. And I want to be like the old people, having pineapples on my door to let you know I'm down for the cause, or whatever they put on their doors to let you know. I want to have my little golf cart down to the villages, my little rainbows coming off my golf carts and everything. I'm just saying.
They said another thing is like having a lot of keys by your entryway.
Oh,
so people know, like, hey, we down with it. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Things you learn just by reading on the internet. But Yeah, they got a hell of a lot of STIs.
Yeah, they do. But they have great hospitals and great clinics. Doxy Pep on tap.
You're horrible. But I
I'm
just think
just-
that because when you really think about it, right? You remember when what was his name? Byrd died, Senator Byrd from West Virginia.
mm-hmm,
He died in office.
mm-hmm.
He was
Like Strom.
92.
What didn't Strom die in office?
I'm just like, why are y'all?
Didn't Strom Thurmond die in office after doing like 60 some odd years?
Yeah.
Just saying. Right, friend, they need the party pack. Doxy Pep.
Like, well, how
Just
long was he
saying.
in office? Okay, well, no, he stepped down in what? 03?
Like a day before he died. Hell, Dianne Feinstein was like 1,000 years old. And she just died a couple months ago.
He was 100 when he died.
Exactly. And when he's still like in the Senate.
He stepped down January the 3rd.
And when he died January 5th.
June the 26th.
Okay, it wasn't that much longer. And he did like 60 some odd years.
He was a Dixiecrat. I remember that.
Until he became a Republican. Like if you were in and he retired in 2000s, in the early 2000s. So if it's the early 2000s and you were originally a part of the flip-flop between the Democrats and Republicans, so that's a problem.
If you are a part of the Solid South strategy, it is time for you to go.
Hello.
How long is Nancy?
That was him, Moesha. Stand account. But hell, Dianne Feinstein was getting rolled in there.
All right, Nancy Pelosi, it's time to wrap it up.
She's 80. Isn't she 80?
Before I was born. Let's wrap this shit up.
Isn't she 80? Like 80 something?
84. She's born in 1940.
And Maxine Waters, I think, is like 85.
She is 85. Maxine Waters is 85.
You see what I'm saying? Why
But
y'all in office?
But I love Auntie Maxine, though.
I love her down, but ma'am, you need to go sit down somewhere. I don't need you around here talking about you passing laws.
I feel like they'd be too old.
You are stopping progress. Think about Maxine Waters' district and how many viable candidates that there probably are in her district. Up and coming great black politicians that we've missed out on because you wanted to be in office, for 1,000 years.
Your whole damn life.
Like I feel like I think all of those people in Washington should have term limits. I think you should have congressional term limits. I think you shouldn't do more than 3 terms in the Senate. I think you shouldn't do more than maybe 5 or 6 terms. I'm gonna say 6 terms in Congress. That'll give you a good 12 years. If you ain't been able to get what you need to have, you say 5 terms, 10 years.
You get a decade. That's it.
I was gonna try and give them 12, but I'm okay with that too.
Because there is a negative or a perverse incentive with term limits, right? Because then they don't know enough about how to wheel and deal. So then these special interest groups, these lobbyists, become even more powerful.
Well, that's why I say give them a good 12 years. Give them a good 12
so that is
years.
something to think about. But I was like, a decade is long as goddamn enough.
And if you do 3 terms in the Senate, that's 18 years. That's almost 20 years.
It's almost a damn generation. You'll be fine.
You can't get it in by the end. I'm just saying, get in where you fit in.
Get in where you fit in.
Because now,
thank you. That's the only reason I want to be elected.
Because don't they get to keep their salaries?
They get to keep that insurance
and their salaries. I thought, don't they get to keep their salaries? I could be wrong. Maybe I learned that wrong. Anyway, because insurance is the stuff that make you go back to work. I can retire as long as I keep my insurance. Y'all keep paying for my insurance. Just saying. Anyway, They get pensions. Oh, okay.
Well,
But
they
I
have to
thought
serve. They had to serve a long time to get the pension, though.
right, and I thought that you know I thought they give you like the highest your highest salary or something like that. The highest salary you had, and you get to get. I don't know. Don't make me lie, child. I don't know.
Well, your pension depends on the years of service and your high three. So it's similar to the federal government in that regard, but there's still. I want the health insurance. You keep the health insurance after one term. I don't give a fuck about the pension. Give me the health insurance. It ain't getting no cheaper.
Right.
It ain't getting no cheaper. But you have to do at least 5 years of service. I only know that because I was a federal employee and we was asking about that.
Well, listen, get these people out of here. Well, listen, y'all. We've been on here an hour and 35 minutes, and that is the show. That is the show, y'all. Sir, did you enjoy me today? I enjoyed you today.
You know, this is a highlight of my week. What do you mean?
I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed y'all today. Y'all were great today. I loved y'all today. Y'all added quite a bit of fodder to our commentary, and we certainly are appreciative. Y'all got to, feel free to send us show topics or things that you want us to questions that you want us to answer.
And nudes for
Feel
El
free to
Teddy.
do that. And
People
what?
also like nudes.
Nudes with the nudes, is that what you're saying?
Nudes.
It depends on the nudes. I don't want to see no ass and titties. I mean, I'm just saying.
I don't mind.
Well, send the ass and titties to him, okay?
Look, Jason me up. Just give me a little palate cleanser.
Give me some balls. Give me a phallus and some nut sacks, okay?
Look, Moesha made a very valid point though. We paying for Paul Ryan Huckabee.
Yes, you are. Him and a whole lot of other people. I got a whole grocery list of names that you still paying for. Shoot. I'm just saying.
Rule for thee, but not for me.
Just saying.
I mean, is Congress even doing anything right now? I don't think so.
Congress is not doing a goddamn thing. There's not a damn thing happening in the Capitol building. Listen, I read that and thought that said bestiality. I only read the B and the ality, and I just knew it said bestiality.
I can't. I cannot.
I read it too fast. I just knew.
The only thing that's going on in Congress right now is they probably still recording them young twinks getting busted down by the Republicans.
Oh, in the meeting room, in the committee room.
But look, so I saw and I was like,
they have a whole
I don't condone it,
OnlyFans videos in the
but I
committee room.
understand it. I don't condone it, but I understand it.
Baby, I know they got quite a bit of change over there down to the OnlyFans from those videos. Make your coins. They said
I was in shock. They were like, oh my God.
I bet you they posted bail real fast because they had the coins from the OnlyFans.
Nothing even happened. Nothing happened with the investigation. He just resigned. It's just like the Congressional Page program. They had to get rid of that while I was in high school because they was sleeping with 17-year-olds.
With underage men.
Swiping under the rug. Democrats and Republicans. Because Barney Frank.
Oh, we know Miss Barney, honey.
Barney like them young. But yeah, I remember that.
I mean, and we still have the weekly Republican Party sex party, the weekly Republican sex party that goes on with all of the
that you might follow on Twitter. Yeah, they be there. Some people you might follow on Twitter.
They be right there.
Some content creators. Some of whom I've met when I was in LA. Like,
come on, man.
I mean, you just see them out.
I mean, I see a lot of them. You know where I live in, so a lot of those porn skanks reside here.
I prefer
or
the LA
frequent
ones
this
over the
area.
Atlanta ones. I prefer the LA ones have a little couth about themselves.
Not the ones here, honey.
They be at Bulldogs too. No, thank you.
Mm, and the Marquette and stuff.
Ugh.
Jesus. Anyway, what you got going on that the people need to know about?
Nothing. Not running for office. I have decided to go in a different direction.
I have decided
I
to
was
follow Jesus.
I was getting vetted, but I have decided against that. I don't need none of my bust downs coming out with
Come on,
a tell-all
bust
expose.
down.
How am I shady, Harold? What did I do?
Child, come on, bust downs.
Look, I used to get around. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I used to get around.
This is why I don't follow my exes on these social media, sir. I'll show you when we get off here, Kamz. He just be bothering me. Can't stand
But you
him.
like the attention.
He's so cute though. His birthday is on Thursday.
I'm hurt that Harold said that I'm shady. Like
I mean, why? You tell the truth. We're not gonna do this with you. Y'all know what I got going on. Y'all know to follow me. Y'all know what I got going on. And we do have Silly Saturday this Saturday.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Oh, because you've been skimping out.
I canceled the trip that I had to New Orleans. So
it's like you're a part-time content creator or some shit.
But don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't know. Silly Saturday is cornerstone programming.
It
needs to be on time.
Would you rather that I pre-record it and just put it up as a premiere?
First of all, that's the worst YouTube feature that they had.
Right.
Because this is like, oh, it's a premiere. It's not live, but you can chat with other people. No.
It wouldn't be the same.
Not the
Exactly.
same.
It's not.
I want real-time interaction.
Silly Saturday is not the same without the live.
Harold, that's the truth. They do be in Bulldogs.
They do be in Bulldogs. They do.
Look.
Fighting. They be in Bulldogs fighting. Fighting and care. Once you go down them little stairs over there, the Bulldogs.
Fighting.
Baby, you know them girls be down there getting it in, honey. Baby, they be down there fighting and carrying on. Girl.
I said, is this the gay club or is this the fight club?
Girl, they be in the octagon, baby.
It was 5 fights in one night.
Baby, when you go down them little stairs down there and Bulldogs in the back, baby, it's like that's the octagon, honey. Them girls be over there windmilling. Girl. Them is battle cats, honey. They is battle cats.
And it all be over a man that everybody done had. And I do mean everybody.
Child, and it be over some man who has his own wing named after him down to the Centers for Disease Control, which are headquartered down here to the Atlanta. Girl, let me shut up and get off this thing. Anyway.
They have a strain of drug-resistant syphilis.
Oh my God.
Oh
God. Oh.
Some of them are open to the public like parks.
Oh God. Oh.
I'm only saying this because I went to high school with some.
Not that Yana around here making requests for palate cleansers. You know what, Yana? Dark bearded chocolate. Okay, I do the best I can. I'm just gonna do the best I can for these palate cleansers.
Yeah, because it be a lot of. I don't know what you be picking. Like they don't be my type.
I don't. I go with what comes up on my timeline. Okay.
Okay, well, you need the algorithm on your Instagram need to do better.
I don't know what y'all want from me, okay? I'm doing the best I can.
You know what I want. You know what my type is. You know what I like.
I'm not going to have those people.
Just throw 1 or 2 up there. I'll be happy. Keep me content.
Who, the people descended from the Caucasus Mountains?
You fucking tried it. You fucking tried it just then.
Okay, you want me to have some bottom up there for you? God, I don't feature them. I have a twink or two.
You know I love a twink.
Yeah, I have a couple.
I mean, I'm still, they still hit me up. I mean, I don't respond, but yeah, the twink whisperer is what they used to call me.
Jesus. The show is over, y'all. The show is over. We about to get out of here, y'all. We will be back next week, same time, same place. Dear God above. And I'll be back tomorrow for our regular Run Your Mouth tomorrow.
We're inclusive like a resort.
Jesus God.
I like that. El Teddy real inclusive. If it hang and swang, he's very inclusive.
Don't do me. Shit. How do we devolve into talking about what I like?
Is this not
Let
the
me
house?
get out. I'm
Is
gonna
this
press
not
my
the house of debauchery?
It is. I'm gonna have to edit all this out. God, this is his fault. Okay, it is. He cannot
Just
focus.
members only. Just members only. It'll be fine.
I need him to focus.
I
Child,
have ADHD. What do you want from me?
Lord.
What do you want from me?
Anyway,
Why don't we just call this one Politics After Dark?
oh God, we're always after dark. Dear Lord. Anyway, we about to get out of here. Okay, always remember, whether the country is red or blue, we will always be black. We out of here, y'all. Love y'all. See y'all next time.
See you guys next week.
Lord.